Welcome to the Baller Boys podcast. They're all about sports, and more sports. And now, the Baller Boys, Mark and Shemaya.
Hello, and welcome back to the Baller Boys podcast, where we talk about sports, and more sports with a twist of humor. Don't forget the little click and the twist. We are balling tonight. We're going to be talking about some NBA action. There's a lot going on in the NBA, actually. So, as you know, or those of you who are just tuning in for the first time don't know, we have 2 shows a week. So we have multiple episodes a week. So this is going to be the first of 2 episodes that talk about the NBA. Now, there are 2 big things going on. There's the NBA Finals, and there's another story we're going to talk about. So don't miss that one. Don't miss the episode right after this one. But for this episode, we are going to talk about the 2022 NBA Finals between the Boston Celtics and the Golden State Warriors. So with that being said, I am Mark, and I am one of 2 baller boys here. I cannot do this alone. I am joined by the SOTB, the music man with the plan himself, Shemaya.
Yup.
You heard him. Yup is right, because we're going to get straight down to business. Now, what is this episode about? It is about the finals, but not just the finals, specific players in this finals that have impressed the 2 of us. Now, we're going to talk about players from both teams. There are some names we got to point out and, throw some roses at, because some guys are really balling right now. You guys like that pun? Because we're the baller boys. We talk about, balling, you know what I mean? But yeah. So with that being said, we're going to start with the Boston Celtics. So Shemaya, right now the series is tied 1-1. It's anybody's series at this point, but the Celtics have stolen home court advantage from the Golden State Warriors. Who on the Boston Celtics has impressed you the most?
That's an easy one. That's Derek White.
Yeah.
The main reason why is because first game, Warriors, he scored 21 points. Second game, he scored 12 points. But the point is, he's proven his value, especially someone come off a trade and Mr. New Kid on the block, so to speak, in Boston. I think he's earned his trust with his teammates and what he's been able to contribute to the game for them in the series. I think he's helped them to be a difference maker, to say the least. So, yeah, without Derek White, I mean, it might be both me and they say they probably will win the games they won, or the game they won, but I won't go that far. But I would say I would not be surprised if they were down 2, because I think he's made that much of an impact on the team. Because I'm just saying, this guy got rebounds, he got assists, he got a steal in the second game. He had 2 blocks in the second game. Like, he's contributing that X factor, if you will. Because if you look at the Heat series, he had a 22-point game, and that's the highest he had in that series. But even with the Bucks, I feel like he's just been improving in each series. And the Warrior series, he's still doing some things that he was doing in the Heat series. But if you look at what he's done compared to the Bucks in the Heat, yeah, this guy, Derek White, Boston should be thanking the higher up powers of this gift that they have, because he's came in the right time for the Boston Celtics. And that's not to take away from the main guys, but for him to be a new kid on the block and for him to contribute the way he has and be confident. I mean, yeah, he's definitely the one that I see most impressive.
Yeah, for sure. While we're on the topic of Derek White, actually, since you named one of the same players that I was going to talk about anyway. So, while we're on Derek White, I'm glad you mentioned the stats, because, game 1, like you said, 21 points, 6 of 11 shooting, 5 of 8 from 3-point land. Game 2, he didn't have as many points, but Derek still found a way to contribute. Yes, his shooting was not as good. That also explains why he didn't score as many points, because he only shot 4 of 13 in this game and 2 of 4 from 3. So his shooting percentage percentage was not that great in this one, but he did contribute in other ways. Like you mentioned, he got a steal, he got a couple of blocks. So he is somewhat balancing a poor offensive performance with a solid defensive performance. And actually, I think he played better defensively in game 2 as far as the stats say, like with steals and blocks. So Derek White, even though they did lose that game 2, he's still contributing in other ways outside of his scoring, which the Celtics most definitely need coming off the bench. They need Derek White as a spark. So absolutely, man. Great pick.
Yeah, and the other one that I feel is catching my eye is Jaylen Brown. And
man, are you a sidekick or what?
Well, I'll tell you why. You tell me why if that's the one you pick. But Jaylen Brown, he had 17 points in the second game, and I'm not gonna pick the obvious like starter on the Boston's team, Tatum, because he's a superstar. But as far as the person who's been contributing to the game, Jaylen Brown, he's not only scoring good points, he's also getting rebounds, also getting assists. He's shooting threes. I mean, Tatum needs all the help he can get in this series. So the two people that definitely sticks out for the Celtics is Jaylen Brown and Derek White. And yeah, short and sweet, Jaylen Brown, he's just been the other threat for the Warriors. He hasn't had any steals the second game, but the first game he had 2 steals in that game and a block. And Celtics, they need him and Derek to really explode in this series, because I think that will cause some unexpected trouble for the Warriors. And the question will be, will they be able to keep up with those unexpected threats from Boston Celtics?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny you picked Jaylen because I picked Jaylen too. Like you said, game 1, he scored 24 points, 10 of 23 shooting, 2 of 8 from 3. Game 2, he still contributed with 17 points. Not as great of shooting, 5 of 17 field goals, 3 of 9 from 3. So that dip in field goal percentage definitely affected the outcome of that game too. As we know, the Warriors won that game. Tatum was a beast in that game too. It's interesting because the game they win, Tatum did not have a great game. But the game that he does go off, the Warriors did just enough to temper the performances of the other guys. Like Al Horford basically disappeared in game 2. And of course, Tatum bounces back, but the Warriors did just enough to make sure some of the other guys didn't do anything. And I think Grant Williams had like 0 points in game 2. So yeah, you just had guys who did not perform to their peak and did not perform enough to get them that W in game 2. But again, that game 1 win was huge for the Celtics, stole that home court advantage from the Warriors, and now they are returning to Boston on Wednesday for game 3 in front of their home fans to get a couple of W's and maybe get, one step closer to sealing the deal in this series. But those are the Boston Celtics that impressed us the most. Let us know which Boston Celtics have impressed you so far, guys. Leave a comment, put a review. We're all over the place. We're on Spotify, we're on Anchor, we're in the sky, we're in the air, we're on YouTube. In case you don't like any of those options, we are everywhere. So feel free to leave a comment or leave a review or tell us why you don't like us, because, hey, constructive criticism is good, but make sure it's constructive. All right, y'all. Don't spread hate, spread constructive criticism. So with that being said, there are 2 teams in the NBA Finals. So, we just talked about the Boston Celtics. Now let's jump to the Golden State Warriors. Shemaiah, who has impressed you the most so far?
All right, this one's easy. This one actually got me a little energized. Stephen Curry.
Yeah.
Number one reason why the Warriors even doing anything right now. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. Without Steph Curry doing what he's been doing the past 2 games, Boston will basically walk us and just shame us. But that's the reason why He's my number one pick right now for who's been impressing me the most in the series. And the main reason why is first game, dude scored 34 points.
Yeah.
Second game, he scored 29 points. That was enough to keep the Warriors, instead of like the rejected people from Never Neverland. Because
so he's the most impressive player overall out of both
I feel
teams.
like, all right, the reason why I'm so energized is because I feel like if it wasn't for Steph Curry, not taking anything away from all the, because there's a player that contributed I'm going to get to after you tell yours, but Steph really is the reason why it's 1-1, period.
Yeah.
He's the reason why. There's no other player on the Warriors team that really could carry them over the hump. Steph Curry is the answer for the Warriors to be the tip of the spear, because without Steph being sharp or just having double-digit scoring points, it's just impossible. The Boston Celtics will basically shatter the confidence of the team. I know that sounds harsh, but the thing is, it's true, man. Like Steph
Where's
has
Clay
to be
been?
Yeah, and I think Clay is going to show up in one of these games. I feel like he's not hitting the rhythm of the old Clay that we're used to seeing. But if he snaps, that's someone that I can see do something special, but he hasn't done that yet. He hasn't done that special old Clay that we used to see back in the day, but that might come. But yeah, first off the bat is Steph Curry. I feel like without his threes and he's also had rebounds and steals. Like he had some crucial steals in both game 1 and 2.
Yeah,
that helps shift the momentum. That I feel help other players to gain confidence and say, okay, we're going to like find a way to win in the game 2. So yeah, Steph he's the captain of the team for the Warriors. And without him and his presence and his ability to be self-aware where he is in the game at any given moment, yeah, it's just Boston all day if it's not Steph stepping up. And he's the vocal point for the Warriors. He's the heartbeat that keeps them confident.
Yeah, I was about to say he is the lifeblood of the Warriors right now because there's just not enough guys. Like not enough guys on the Warriors are stepping up. You got Clay struggling from the field. I mean, Looney had 4 points in game 1 and 12 points in game 2. Poole's been a little inconsistent. Wiggins had himself a 20-point game in game 2, but that was about all the help Steph got. And Poole off the bench. But again, we talked about this on Sweep the League too. If y'all want to check out our talks about that, yeah, go check out Sweep the League, guys. We talk about how important Steph Curry is in that episode as well on Sweep the League. But so like as we reiterated there, as we're going to talk about here again, Steph Curry is the most important piece, I think, on either team right now. Steph, and what we mean by that is, look, Tatum's very good, Brown's very good, Clay's good, Poole's good, but Steph is that piece that has to function, that has to play well for the Warriors to stay in it. He is, I mean, it's not a stretch to say Steph has carried this Warriors team in this finals so far. Game 1, 34 points, like you mentioned, 12 of 25 shooting, 7 of 14 from 3 steals. He carried the Warriors in the first half. I think he had like 21 points at the end of the first quarter or something. Game 2, he had 29 points on 9 of 21 shooting, 5 of 12 from 3, 6 rebounds. And again, he had 3 steals, like you mentioned before, crucial steals. Yeah, Steph's getting it done on the defensive end too, and he's getting rebounds. So without question, and I'm glad you mentioned that Steph, you thought has just been the most impressive in general in this series. I completely agree. He has been the most impressive piece on either team in this series. Shout out to Al Horford in game 1, but he kind of started out slow and he didn't get all his points till that second half and mainly the fourth quarter. So without question, Steph Curry has been the most impressive player in the NBA Finals, and he is showing people that he is still an MVP caliber player. So Shemaiah, with Chef Curry in the books here, is there another Warriors player that has kind of impressed you?
There is, but one more thing I want to point out before we move on is that if Steph Curry had 0 points, if Boston were able to basically shut him down and lock him up, Boston would have won by 10. Just throwing that out there. It would have been 88-78. So I just want people to understand, like, if Steph is not doing his thing, Boston's winning. Just so you understand how crucial it is. But yeah, Jordan Poole is my next guy, mainly because he hasn't been consistent, but game 2, he lit it up unexpectedly. And without him getting that 17 points he got, they would have lost. Warriors would have lost that game. Because I feel like the time that Jordan Poole was getting hot, if it was the opposite, I think Boston Celtics would have got hot. And they would have just took those 17 points and probably, slow down Steph Curry, and then they probably would have won game 2. So I feel Jordan Poole was doing the right things at the right time, and he also got a couple steals in that game as well. So the fact that he stepped in and contributed the way he did in game 2, he's the second most impressive person on the team. I know there's other players that could be a good argument, but I just think what Jordan's been able to do this year is pretty darn impressive. But what he's been able to do in game 2 in the finals, yeah, he's acting like he's been there before, which he hasn't. So, yeah, that's my guy for number 2.
Yeah. No, well said, man. I mean, you bring up a good point. Dude's 22, and this is his first NBA Finals appearance in game 2, must-win situation for the Warriors. He goes out there and he has himself a good game. Pitches in 17 points off the bench to help Steph. Again, other players on that team struggled. Wiggins struggled. Clay struggled again in game 2, and you need other guys. And we were talking about why, we talked about this, why the Warriors are dangerous, because they have so many weapons that can score. But you need Steph, the lifeblood of the team, to score, get yourself 29 points, 30 points a game. But you need the other guys, some other support to help out. And Jordan Poole was definitely that in game 2. And Wiggins was that in game 1. So these other guys, hopefully with Steph Curry's play right now, his teammates will be motivated to play their hearts out. And it would be something if they can go into Boston Wednesday in game 3. If they can go into Boston and steal that win in front of those Boston fans, that would just, oh my gosh, they would be on top of the world. And if that does happen, we could be seeing another Warriors banner. Honestly, if they go in there in game 3 and win in Boston, in front of Boston's fans, and I think this is going to go 7 games anyway, but if they go in there in Boston and win game 3, Warriors are winning this series, man. That would be such a huge statement. And Clay, it would be even more appropriate if the guys who struggled in that game, in the series so far, ball out in game 3. We're talking Klay Thompson, talking Wiggins having a good game. We're talking Looney getting down in the trenches with the rebounds and blocks. And because we know how talented this Warriors team is, but some of these other guys got to step up and help Steph. Because even then, the games are they're kind of close. Steph's been able to carry this team, but he needs help. And hopefully his play inspires his other teammates to go out there and, do what they're getting paid to do. And that is play basketball, because they are good players and they are capable players, and they need to remember that. And they need to show up on the grandest stage. Like Clay and Steph have done this before on multiple occasions. So really, this is a message for Clay to step up, because he has struggled in these first couple of games at home in front of your home fans. Clay, you're better than this. And you were better than this when you came back from your injury too. So, hopefully this inspires you to do that. And I wouldn't be surprised if Clay tweets about Baller Boys tomorrow or the next day. Or the next day says, hey, these 2 sportsters wannabes were talking about me, and they're saying, you know what? They're telling me that I'm better than how I'm playing. And you know what, guys? These Baller Boys are right. These Baller Boys are correct. I am better than this. I got the fro, I got the headband, I've got the skills. I came back with a storyline right here, came back from an injury, almost haven't played in 2 years. I'm balling again with my home splash brother, Steph, and I got a splash triplet in Jordan Poole now. Hell yeah, I'm better than this. So Clay, go out there and ball for your boys.
I would say, just adding to it, is I feel not the only, one of the ways that Warriors can seal the win tomorrow is Gary Payton II has to get what he did in the second game. He got 3 rebounds, 3 assists. That shows that he knows what he's doing on the floor. He's not lost like, hey, what you want me to do? You want me to just set a pick? What you want me to do? Like this guy knows how to add value off the bench. And he actually scored 7 points. And he was 3 for 3 field goal. Yeah. So I think he has to be the surprise element for Boston, because what it does, it creates a headache for them, and it slows them down for having an opportunity to get back on offense and match the momentum. So I think the X factor, surprise factor, will be someone like a Gary Payton II having a positive value system, adding to the secrecy weaponry game plan that Boston Celtics are not expecting. Because let's just be honest, no one's expecting Gary Payton II to be explosive.
Oh, right. Especially, just coming off that arm injury.
But if he can get 7 points tomorrow, that could be 7 points that gets the Warriors over the top. Because I think Boston, their fans are going to be extra tomorrow. And mentally, Warriors have to be smart and not get in foul trouble. Because I will say this, and you heard it right here on Baller Boys. If the Warriors get in foul trouble tomorrow, they're going to get blown out. That's my prediction.
Ooh, there you go. You heard it on Baller Boys. We're making bold claims here, man. But that's what we do. We guys, for those of y'all who don't know in context, we just come over here and record this stuff after a day, day's work, jobs. We come home, we vent, and we talk about sports, because this is how we just relax. So thank you all for tuning in for our bold statements here. And we're ultimately, at the end of the day, we're just fans of this. Like, this is going to be a great series. It has been so far. And I completely agree with your Gary Payton II assessment, because he was actually on my list here of, as far as impressive players. He didn't play in game 1, but game 2, his presence was felt, like you said, perfect from the field. He even threw in 3 rebounds, 3 assists. He's contributing all over the place. And he's the type of guy who can get like 10 points. He can get you double digits off the bench, and that will help relieve Steph big time, because we just talked about Steph's supporting cast needs to show up a little better. And a guy like Gary Payton II just coming off the bench and being able to give you an extra 10 points, that's got to be a stress reliever for Steph, knowing that he's got a guy who can contribute off the bench and know that he can trust him to make some stuff happen on the court and not just sit idly,
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And yeah, I'm not crying. A frog just randomly came in my throat. But what I was going to say is reason why that's so crucial is because so far in this series, Jason Tatum he's been diluted, if you will, because he only scored 20 points game 2 and he only scored 12 points in game 1. So you get someone like Gary Payton number 2, the second, squeeze 10 points. Dude, that's like either as much as what Tatum's going to score or half of what he's going to score. So they're in trouble if someone like Gary Payton the second tries to,
he's a clone.
Right.
Payton number 2.
Yeah, number 2. Right.
I love it.
But it's like, that's the problem with the Celtics, is that if they get a surprise, Gary Payton II, that's really going to make them PO, because they're like, oh man, we got to worry about this guy, and then we got to worry about, Steph Curry, and we got to worry about Jordan Poole, and God forbid if Klay Thompson feels like shooting threes tomorrow.
Oh, Klay's going to have a bounce back game at some point.
I feel like he's going to want revenge, and he's probably going to tell Draymond to never, ever go behind the 3-point line ever again, shoot the ball, because you're messing up my chances to get in my rhythm. Because there's a few times Draymond thought he was going to shoot some threes. I'm like, bro, this is the finals. Like, stop doing that. I said one shot. If you break it, don't ever shoot another 3 in the series, because it's like, this is not time to test your 3-point game. Like, I'd rather see Draymond go to the foul line. I'd rather him like just Euro step his way to the foul line and just have like I'll get in some foul trouble or something because please don't shoot no threes, man. Let Clay do it. I'd rather Clay shoot number bricks, but at least keep trying versus Draymond just like completely is an obvious like fast break because there's no way he's gonna do like 3 for 4. He's gonna be like 1 for 6 or something.
Dude, I am so tired of seeing Draymond shoot threes in general. And
I mean, preseason, but we're in the finals, man. Like, please,
yeah. And everyone in their mother knows that he's not consistent from 3. And to be chugging up threes in the finals. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned Draymond. God, you really are a psychic, man. Because I wanted to talk about Draymond's numbers here. So game 1, he had 4 points on 2 of 12 shooting, 0 of 4 from 3-point land, 0 of 3 from his free throw line, and 11 rebounds. So, the 11 rebounds is the one good thing. Game 2, and here's the reason why I'm going through these stat lines, because Draymond has actually improved. Game 2, he scored 9 points on 2 of 3 field goals. He was 5 of 7 from the free throw line, and he scored, he had 5 rebounds. So fewer rebounds, but he contributed in other ways as well, because he battles it out in the trenches on the defensive end, but he gets physical too. And you were just talking about, you would rather see him drive into the lane than chug up a nasty 3 that'll make you want to vomit. Yeah, he should do that. I completely agree. And you brought up a very good point because in game 2, he shot 7 free throws. He had 7 free throw attempts, which means he was getting physical in the trenches. And that's his bread and butter when he's doing that because, teams want him to shoot threes. It's like the Giannis effect. Teams are okay with that type of guy just shooting up a 3-pointer, knowing that he's not consistent at doing that. So I completely agree. I think
Clay, real quick, Clay could have scored maybe 20 plus points if he tried to do all those 3 attempts because Clay was actually not that bad. He was 3 for 7. But imagine if he shot the 3, 4 times more. I mean, I just feel like Draymond had good intentions inside his brain, inside his mind. But no, man, we're in the finals. Like, I wish he didn't attempt so many threes. Like, he should have did 2 max and been like, you know what? No, let me pass the ball to Clay.
Yeah, well, and that's why I mentioned the numbers between game 1 and game 2, because game 1, clearly he's just flinging shots up there. He was 0 for 4 from 3. The Celtics were just fine with letting him chug up threes because they know he's not consistent at that. And then in game 2, he felt more controlled. He felt like he realized, okay, I'm going to be physical in the paint. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to try scoring points at the free throw line. He did just that. He missed all 3 of his free throws in game 1, which would have been the one contributing factor on offense for him, is to get to the line with his physicality. And he missed all his free throws. But game 2, he got 5 free throws. He had 7 chances at the line to get 7 points. So that's pretty darn good.
And someone needs to take this episode and literally email Draymond before tomorrow. And seriously, if he basically drives in the paint, that is an awesome game strategy to get Celtics in foul trouble because tension's already uptight. Everyone's already about to get attacked or whatever. Like, that should be Draymond's mission tomorrow. It's literally just annoy every Celtics player. Drive in the paint, flop all day, because if you get them in foul trouble, I guarantee you their offensive strategy is going to be a bumpy road. I think Taylor's going to be explosive, but if Draymond can get the other players distracted and just make them second guess guarding when he goes into paint, that can be part of the game plan that can help the Warriors win a game away, a home game from the Celtics. Because outside of that, I think it's going to be the opposite. The Boston Celtics is going to do everything in their power to get Draymond in foul trouble. And if he's out of the game too early, it's going to be an L for the Warriors.
Yeah. And I think you kind of hinted at the other side of the spectrum too. With Draymond being a little more physical in the trenches, it could put Rob Williams in foul trouble too. And Boston can't afford to lose those two guys in the paint either. So if Draymond can cause them to commit fouls too, that would help the Warriors out because it would even the playing field in a sense as far as size. Because, the Warriors know Boston outsizes them. But if they can get those bigs in foul trouble with Draymond's aggressiveness and physicality, then use that. Draymond shouldn't. In game 2, they realize, okay, Draymond's like not going to be flinging threes up as much, but he can contribute in other ways. Not only will you get Al and Rob Williams in foul trouble, but Draymond gets to the free throw line. And that's how he contributed 5 points out of his 9 points in game 2 at the free throw line.
I'll almost say everybody but Steph Curry needs to run inside the paint and try to get them in foul trouble. Because look how hilarious that would be. Can you imagine someone like Jordan Poole, Wiggins, and Clay just run into the paint and the whole Celtics team is frustrated because they keep getting called on cheap fouls or whatever? It might be a little cheesy, but it could be a good strategy because my thing is Celtics, they're about to pour the gasoline on the fire when it comes to offensive. And Tatum by himself, I think he's going to get at least 30 plus points.
Oh,
Because I feel like he feels like he's been lukewarm in the series and he hasn't been piping hot. So I think personally, he's going to look at all of them like the Cookie Monster and steal the cookies. Because if he doesn't have a explosive game, it's going to be a lot of pressure on Jaylen Brown and Smart too. So he has to really, for the Celtics, Tatum has to really come off piping hot. And for the Warriors, Curry has to come piping hot because without those two, it's going to be like a science project. We're just going to do a light, hearted type of, okay, who's going to be hot? Because it's not our main guys. So it's going to be probably a low scoring game if those two don't go crazy because, the pressure's on the Warriors completely. Because if they lose, I feel like if they lose, now here's a bold prediction. You're on the Baller Boys. If the Warriors, this might be imaginary fist fights in the afterlife. But if they lose, the Warriors lose tomorrow, I think it's a wrap. And that's crazy to say, but I'm saying it because I feel Boston and Tatum will smell blood and they will basically do everything in their power to frustrate the Warriors team. And if they win tomorrow, Boston, I think they will smell blood. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm just trying to look at reality. It'll be a perfect story for Tatum, number one. And I just feel like Smart and them will smell blood and say, you know what? We got this one. Guess what? We're going to do y'all like we did the Heat.
Ooh, yeah. And you know what? I can completely get that take there because, it's a must win, for the Warriors have to basically go in there and win one of these two games. So game 3 and game 4, we're talking about game 3, but game 4 is going to be critical too, because if Boston drops a game, either one of these next 2 games to the Warriors, all of a sudden you're giving the Warriors a chance. You're giving them a little light in the darkness. And all it's going to come down to is that game 7 in San Francisco. And the Warriors are going to show up. They may not win, but they're going to show up and play. They're going to play to the best of their abilities in a game 7 in front of their home fans if it gets there. So the Warriors should and have to win one of these next 2 games, whether it's game 3 or game 4. But I think that's a very good take, though, because if Boston can seal this win in game 3, all of a sudden they're going into game 4 with all the momentum, knowing the Warriors' backs are against the wall.
It's like deja vu.
Yeah.
Like, we must do this again. And guess what? If they do it tomorrow, then we're like, well, we did it before. So we're going to smash y'all buggers and make sure that y'all never even see the light of day.
Yeah. And
I can believe and it takes a lot for me to say that because I picked the Warriors. But I just feel like it's the right time for the light to cut on in Smart and Tatum's head. And here's the kicker. If they can figure out the weak spots that can slow down Steph Curry and make him brick and not swish, yeah, Houston, we have a problem, because that's really probably going to give Draymond some technical fouls and everybody else just flapping their arms everywhere, desperate to score. Because think about it, man. If they can lock up Steph to 2 points or 6 points.
Dude, even 20 points. Even with 20, they still can't, that's not a guaranteed win for the Warriors.
It's not a guaranteed win. It'll be like a, buzzer beater. Jordan Poole had to do a third quarter repeat or something.
A lot of heavy lifting.
But I can't believe I'm saying this, because I really don't want Boston to win. But I think Tatum and Smart will really seize the moment, because if they can find a way to win tomorrow, that's enough, in my opinion, for them to smell blood and say, you know what? We know what we can do now. We figured y'all out. And that's all that needs to happen for Boston, is for them to figure out stuff. What can they do to get him off his game? Which is completely hard to do, because Steph can shoot with his eyes closed and probably make half the shots, Oh,
and this is a Boston team that's the best defense in the league.
Exactly. And that's why I am a little nervous, because if Steph doesn't have his Steph games, if he's not double digit, Boston smells blood and gets this win tomorrow. I think it's over. Not in a dominant way, but in a we will go to game 7 and win type of way.
Interesting. I like that take, because I think if the Warriors win tomorrow in Boston, just stun the Celtics, stun the fans in attendance, they get all the momentum back, and all of a sudden, again, there's that light in the darkness. The Warriors have a chance. They got life. Their team is still very talented, very stacked. And all of a sudden, now you got the guys who maybe have not been showing up or have been inconsistent start thinking, man, this door is open for us. We showed up tonight in Boston, game 3. We can win this series. And likewise, I think it kind of mirrors your take too. If Boston goes in, shows up in front of their home fans, that game 3, and they get all the momentum swinging their way as well. But I think for Boston, it's interesting, because in a way, Boston has to win these next 2 games at home, but it's also the same scenario with the Warriors. I feel like they also have to win these next 2 games. So these next 2 games are going to be fantastic and really interesting to watch.
And the only reason why, I'll make this quick, but the only reason why I said it the way I said it, because I know people are like, oh my God, he's crazy. He picked the Warriors. Why is he flip-flopping? I'm not flip-flopping. I'm just making the point that to emphasize why I said for the past 4 minutes was Boston will be mentally, okay, game 4 is easy, because if we can make 3 hours, well, game 4 is easy. We have no excuse to not win game 4. And that's my concern, is that if they smell blood, game 3, it's going to be hard to stop that momentum, because their confidence will literally go out of space. Forget the roof. They will be on planet like Pluto.
Yeah, they'll be on the Space Jam planet.
Yeah, they probably create their own planet and name it something that they want. And that's how confident they will be when they play the Warriors. Because seriously, they're literally going to have the ability, if they win game 3, to be like, the Warriors? It's not tied anymore. So y'all be quiet, And I feel like they're going to have the ability and momentum to carry that for the next game and have that same amount of confidence, because now the pressure will be completely on Steph Curry and other players to step up.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Very good take. Very good.
I'm still in shock. I'm actually saying this too.
Yeah. Well, again, none of us doubted that this was going to be a great series, and it's shaping up to be. And these next couple of games Man, I cannot wait. This finals has lived up. It's been very interesting. We get this 1-1 series tie going into Boston for these next couple of games. So, and if there is a team that can go out there and steal a game in Boston, it's the Warriors. I picked the Boston Celtics to win the series. You picked the Warriors to win the series, but it's still, I mean, here on the Baller Boys, we talk about scenarios on both sides of the fence, which is, I think the best thing that, sports commentators and sports guys can talk about is because they can kind of relay both sides of the coin, both point of views. And then, the audience can choose like, okay, which one sounds more, which one sounds more interesting, which one sounds like my kind of view. So that's what we do here on the Baller Boys, man. But thank y'all for joining us once again. I think we wrapped this up so far. The NBA Finals 2022 Boston Celtics, Golden State Warriors. We've got this segment down and locked so far, so we're looking forward to the rest of the series. It's going to be fantastic, and it already has been very impressive. You got bright spots on both teams stepping up and doing their thing, and we have yet to see. We still have some other guys, some pieces on certain teams that need to step up as well. And I have a feeling we're going to see that because it's going to be a long series. And thank y'all for joining us. We are the Baller Boys. We are everywhere. We're on Spotify. We're on Anchor. We're on YouTube. We're in the sky. We're underground. We're probably on your water bottle. Hopefully someday we'll be on water bottle label. But thank y'all for taking your time and listening to us. Again, we do this. We're just doing this after work and talking sports, and more sports. But guys, thank you very much. And follow us on Twitter. You can follow me at MarkTheMC, MarkTh, 3 3s, no E's, capital M, capital C. And don't forget to follow the SOTB himself. Shemaiah, what's that Twitter?
Shemaiah on the BT, and that's me.
There you go. You heard him. Shemaiah on the BT, that's me. That is him. And this is me, your boy, Mark. So, guys, tune in next time when we talk about sports, and more sports. Tell your mom, tell your grandma, enjoy the finals. It's going to be awesome.